We are live.
What's up? We're back.
What a crazy week, man.
Yeah.
Insane.
Insane. But I'm excited to,
What are you excited about?
I'm excited to talk.
You just want to be close to someone.
Escape this pandemic.
It's insane. It's so much has evolved. Like day by day, there's another announcement. Okay, now you need to be further apart. Now there's less people in the room. Now it's just every day is evolving, and now we're on the verge of lockdown.
Yeah, and big announcement last night. Gyms are closed.
Gyms are closed.
Damn. Yeah.
So we'll try and help listeners today with some ideas of what we can do at home. But we're episode 2 in, and we've already got a new set. What's going on? Did you get bored with the old one, or was did we do a big clean down in here, disinfectant? Or
thought we'd do some decorating. Got some bookshelves.
I like the bobblehead of you over there. That's nice.
Yeah, that's from our friends in Musashi, India.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's bit early for a refit, but I like it.
Yeah, no, we'll keep improving.
How are you going to survive with this lockdown? Single man living in an apartment, no gym open. What are you going to do? You're going to go crazy.
I'll go crazy for a little bit, but
as long as
there's always a way.
As long as Tinder's still a thing.
Exactly. You can always work out. There's always a way.
Pretty hard to do a Tinder date with social distancing though.
Yeah.
Quarantine and chill.
Quarantine and chill, yeah.
That's Dhiren's preference to how he does conduct Tinder dates normally.
Anyway, changing topic. Yeah. How are you surviving without jiu-jitsu?
Well, jiu-jitsu closed down this week. They shut the kids class down a week and a half ago and the adults class this week. I'm lucky enough that my wife trains jiu-jitsu and my kids train jiu-jitsu. And I've got mats at home.
Just choking out the family.
On the weekend, the wife's like, I said, don't get angry when you go up to the bedroom. So she's gone up to the bedroom. I've totally rearranged the bedroom. I've got a big main bedroom. I've set up all my jiu-jitsu mats in the bedroom. So I'm going to convince the family to start doing some rolling at home. There's so much online content for jiu-jitsu though, and if you've got one other person in your family that trains, it's so easy just to jump on, set up a computer in front of the mats. Some big names in jiu-jitsu put out plenty of instructionals, so there's so much online content. So jiu-jitsu, it won't be as frequent. Trying to convince the wife every day to train is going to be tough. Yeah. I'll have the young fella to train with, but weight training. What are you going to do? Being a powerlifter, you rely on a gym.
I'm feeling the pain of all the powerlifters around the world right now, man. Like there's no substitute for the barbell at the end of the day. We want to lift up heavy things. You can't exactly deadlift in your apartment.
It's insane. And I'm lucky enough. I've got a set up at home. Again, my whole double garage is set up like a gym, so I'll be fine. But I feel for everyone out there that sort of has the gym as their daily routine.
Yeah,
it's gonna be weird. I use the gym. I go in there and use the sauna and the steam room, and I don't think I'll be venturing into a steam room in these times.
Yeah, the gym's always there for you. When you're happy, you're sad, nothing to do.
I know.
The weight's always an escape.
It's like the ultimate life partner, the gym.
Yeah.
It's seen me through many a breakup and many a bad time in my life.
Definitely.
And I think that's like that for everyone. It becomes that routine. You just rely on it. And when it gets taken away, it's like, oh, shit, what do we do now?
Yeah. And, also one of the biggest powerlifting competitions, Pro Raw, just got cancelled at the Arnolds. We were going to go down to the Arnolds at some point.
I know. Everything's
cancelled, but I was particularly excited for, the powerlifters showcasing some of their strengths, the pizza strength.
In all seriousness, what are you going to do from home? Like I know we'll cover a lot. We're probably going to give some sample stuff that you guys can do at home today. We'll cover it all. But as a powerlifter, living in a flush penthouse apartment, how are you going to train?
Luckily I've always been sprinting. Me and a couple of my mates, we love to sprint, and sprinting is actually a really good way of training. Just go to a park, everything closes down. They're never going to shut down sprinting. All you need is some grass and some shoes, and the shoes are optional.
True. I saw you. I saw on Instagram on the weekend you were doing some sprinting.
Yeah, I love it. There's only 2 ways to train type 2 muscle, right? Heavy or fast.
Yeah.
So heavy's not in the picture right now, so you got to go fast.
Yeah. You can throw in some plyos while you're out there in the park. There's plenty that you can do.
Oh, heaps, yeah.
So you've always been a sprinter?
I love it. And, it also gets you pretty shredded pretty quick.
I was surprised to see how quickly a stocky little powerlifter can move.
Oh, you'd be surprised. There's some carryover. Even some of the big powerlifters can move pretty fast.
Yeah, true. What about you, Hal? Uni has shut down, or what? Are you? No, you're not at uni. Year 6 has shut down.
Yeah, I'm going to be Skyping my kindergarten teacher to learn about the shapes and the colours this week.
So uni shut down. Basketball gone for you.
Everything's done.
So you're on
I'm just gonna
lockdown.
be hibernating, I think, for the next couple of weeks.
So what's the feel out there with all the young guys and like going out on the weekends and things like that? Still did.
We won't anymore, I don't think.
So that was like the last hurrah on
exactly.
the weekend, was it?
It was
Wow.
a last opportunity.
So you young guys are going to go crazy. What?
Yeah.
Put a young guy at home in lockdown for a month.
Oh my God.
I wonder what they're going to get up to.
Yeah.
I reckon you'll become like a TikTok sensation, Hal. I reckon you'll start making TikToks and.
Not a chance. I've already subscribed to Disney Plus, Netflix, and Stan in preparation.
Yeah,
just in case.
I subscribed to Disney Plus as well, and I was watching Avengers in the weekend. I'm like, damn, haven't felt like this about the universe since the end of Avengers Infinity War. it's basically like, this virus is Thanos right now.
It's crazy. I jumped on Netflix on the weekend. All the suggested movies are all like Outbreak and Pandemic, and I'm like, why are people watching this sort of stuff right now? Like, it's the last thing you turn on the TV. That's all there is all day long.
Yeah, and now that the gyms are closed, people are losing that escape. That's like one of the few places you could go and not think about what's going on in the world, because exercise is always makes you focus on the now and not worry about the future and the past.
Do you know what it is though? I think of it like, what are we in for? 2 to 4 weeks of lockdown potentially, maybe longer.
Probably longer.
Use that. I reckon everyone that trains has some sort of niggling injury, something that has just been bothering them, their shoulder or their lower back or their neck, or use this time as a chance to recover, get your body right again, but also use this time as a chance to incorporate some different training, mix it up. Like a lot of people just get stuck in a rut of doing the same thing week in, week out. Like you say, get out in the park, do some sprints. You'd be surprised. Like if you've been in the gym squatting for years on end, and you go out and sprint, and you haven't sprinted in a long time, your legs will be just as sore, if not sorer, the next day.
You'll be surprised how sore sprinting will make you. Also, like at the end of the day, in China, they've stopped jogging and things like that now. So, sprinting is one thing that it's quite hard to stop, right? You just go to a park. Even if they do end up stopping things like sprinting, the cops show up, that's when the real sprint session starts.
I don't know about that.
But there's always a way to train, right? And, everybody's been stockpiling, buying popcorn, buying Doritos. It's very easy to become a popcorn processing machine right now. You're sitting on your couch watching Netflix. Pantry's loaded with snacks. You got a mountain of toilet paper. You're literally just a popcorn factory. So
that toilet paper will be put to good use.
Exactly. So it's so easy to fall into that trap right now. So keeping active, keeping healthy is gonna be the way out of this.
I think maintaining your normal daily routine. A lot of people are sort of working from home or aren't able to get to the gym. But if you're getting up at a certain time to go to the gym, still get up at that time and do something else. Whether it's as simple as like buying a kettlebell and having a kettlebell at home. Get online, I
just bought some kettlebells.
Yeah,
this weekend.
there's so many online kettlebell workouts that you could do. Get up at the same time. Have your meals at the same time. If you're working from home, try and set yourself up at home and structure your day like normal, and just try and otherwise people, when they're out of routine and things are crazy, you lose all focus and your nutrition goes to shit and your training goes to shit. Just keep your shit together, man.
Yeah, and this is so important, and I was just reading some random stats about this virus, and they're saying people that have most of the people that are experiencing the worst effects of it tend to have some kind of pre-existing condition, right?
Yeah.
Whether it be obesity, blood pressure, things like that. So if you lose your job, you lose everything. Make your health your wealth.
I know. Look, the scariest thing for me is like the hit to the economy that this is going to cause. Like, of course, the virus is scary as well. I'm concerned about that and how many lives will be lost and people infected and things, and the pressure on the healthcare system. But the hit to the economy, all these businesses closing, people being laid off, it's pretty scary times. But look, humans are very resilient. We're a very resilient breed, and we'll get through this. I mean, I was around back in the early 1900s for the Spanish flu, and
Yeah.
I'm still here.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I'm pretty sure you survived smallpox and everything.
I did.
But
I beat smallpox.
yeah, you know, I'm a serial optimist, so I always look for the silver lining and everything. And you know,
I'm an optimist on this podcast, but a pessimist in real life.
let's just call you a realist.
A realist, yes, a realist.
But yeah, you know that story that we heard about the prisoners of war, and all the optimists died first because they thought somebody was gonna come rescue them.
Yeah.
But no, there is some silver linings. You mean like people are definitely bonding over this. You know, the whole world is in this together.
It's true. And look, this is I've got a little. I saw something online. I just want to share it with everyone. It's probably a good time. It was actually, imagine if Dr. Seuss were alive today. He'd write something like this. Here we go. I'm going to lose all of our listeners, but it's pretty cool. The buildings were big and people would smile, and travel they would mile by mile. But sick they become, in numbers it grew, businesses worried, communities too. Things stopped for a bit, the world slowed its roll, the virus had certainly taken its toll. But what they then saw from slowing things down is in fact now had less reasons to frown. Families now gathered, what game shall we play? Pass me the blue crayon, give mummy the grey. Dad's home, guys, he'll read us a book, and then all of us together will cook. The lungs of the planet caught a small break. Less travel meant less pollution to make. People did realise they'd all be okay. They don't need so much to get through the day. Maybe this virus that caused so much stress showed the whole world what more can mean less.
Well, Dr. Seuss wrote that.
No, that's if Dr. Seuss was alive today.
Okay, right.
But I thought it was pretty cool. It's like it allows you to get back to what is really important, and that's you bunker down with your family. Lives are that busy these days. People are sort of racing here and there, and it just allows a bit of a reset with the family, sit at home and sort of catch up, get to know your kids. I mean, we're so busy with our work that's just everything's a race.
Yeah. And
I'm worried about you, but you're sitting at home by yourself.
I'll be fine.
You'll be cooking up curries and...
don't worry. I'll be fine.
Yeah.
I got plenty of friends and family, and, you know, I live on Skype all the time anyway.
Yeah,
so.
you do.
Yeah.
You do. Lots going on there's not lots going on in sports, but there's plenty of sports stuff to talk about. What is what's new in the world of sports, Hal?
We'll kick things off on a lighter note, which is the NRL is continuing its season despite every other league, it seems, shutting down.
When did they announce this?
Yesterday
or this morning or?
Well, when the AFL announced that they're suspending, the NRL didn't announce it, and you know they said, you know, we're gonna still carry on, see how it goes. You know,
I wonder how long for.
Sports are an escape, and you know, I'm a Warriors fan, and the Warriors are staying here. It's not just the players; it's the whole coaching staff and everybody. And you know, the little campaign that they had is all in, right? You know, they're all in to keep this season alive, and you know, people need an escape, and sports is sometimes that escape.
Yeah, I've noticed. I saw online a lot of the American viewers. They've got no sports to watch. They've been watching Fox Sports and watching the AFL and the NRL, and like those two sports have gained a whole new worldwide fan base. But now with the AFL sort of postponing their season or shutting the season down for a bit, I guess we're all going to become NRL fans.
Yeah. Well, the A-League's still on as well. So
A-League.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
they don't come close to each other anyway.
No, but A-League's good. You know, Wellington Phoenix are doing pretty well this year.
Yeah. There's still a bit of sport, and like you said, we were talking earlier. The Fox Sports had a big UFC marathon on the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
That was pretty cool to watch some old fights.
I only caught one fight, Whitaker versus Jacare. It was one of the best fights of all time.
Yeah, but I think look, we don't know. We don't know how long this is going to happen for. The AFL is probably just governed by what the government regulations are, and I'm sure it'll all kick off again in a month or two, and we'll at least get a little bit of AFL and other sports sort of start to trickle back. The one that I'm worried about though is UFC 249 Khabib versus Tony Ferguson.
It's cursed.
That is this like the fifth time they try to put that fight together.
Yeah.
And they're still going to try and make it happen, although they're both of them are in training camp in California, which is under complete lockdown. So I don't know how they're going to... It's on April 19th, the fight. So they've still got a little bit of time. That's nearly a month. But I just don't know how long the lockdown's going to be and how they're going to get them out of there to fight somewhere else. They're talking Saudi Arabia or something, or
Yeah, well, we'll see. Basically, the whole world is on almost on lockdown. So,
I know.
hopefully, they find a way.
I wouldn't just put him in a cage with a ref and just have everything remote. Couple of cameramen. I'm sure they'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I think I was reading some stuff from Dana White. He's like hell bent on making that fight happen. That has to happen.
Yeah.
What else is happening, Hal?
On that note as well, I want to talk about Shane Warne turning his gin distillery into a hand sanitizer factory.
You seen this?
That's pretty cool. Quite a few gin distilleries around the world are doing it, actually.
It's I think it's twofold. It's helping out. I think Shane Warne's gin brand, I think it's 708. They hold production of gin this week. So they're making an alcohol sanitizer, but they're actually supplying it to Western Australian hospitals. Oh. So it's pretty cool thing that they're doing. It's profitable, obviously, for him. He's probably making more money on hand sanitizer than he is on gin at the moment.
But it's good. You know, there's so many things that the world's going to need in this period coming up. So
I would have thought our gin would have been just as important as sanitizer.
Well, Hal has a weekend job as well in BWS, and
we got killed yesterday. It was almost as busy as Christmas Eve. Yeah. It's ridiculous. In the space of an hour after that announcement.
Everyone's stocking up on alcohol.
It's strange what people are stocking up on, you know, like...
It's weird.
Yeah. Toilet paper was, like, probably the most bizarre one, you know. I've seen all these, like, videos of these preppers and things, and, you know, like this one guy, he's like, I stay ready, so I don't need to get ready. And he's, like, talking about toilet paper and stuff. I'm like, bruh, you're talking about toilet paper. You should be talking about your fitness, you know? Exactly. This is what you need to be looking after right now.
It's insane. I've been without for 3 weeks. It's I've got good friends that have been able to like flick us a roll here and there, but every time I go to the shops, it's still out. Yeah. So it's insane. It's insane. Yeah. Like the shopping centres are still open. People, you can go in there every day if you want and just get little bits here and there. But anyway, that's pretty cool of Shane Warne. Little bit of trivia. Why is his gin company called 708? Hal, do you know?
That's how many wickets he took.
Oh, yes. Yeah. How many test wickets he took?
I'm not a cricket man at all. I never would have guessed that.
Yeah.
Pretty cool of Warnie. What else we got, Hal?
So the AIS is proposing an isolated base camp for the Australian Olympic athletes to train in.
Do you reckon the Olympics is still going to happen?
I don't think it's going to happen.
Apparently they've got a slush fund of over $150 million for these Australian Olympic athletes, and they're thinking, of setting up a base camp at the AIS, transporting everyone in via and out via charter flights and things like this to prepare for the Olympics. I can't see the Olympics going ahead. That is a breeding ground for infectious disease.
The AIS is probably, well resourced to do something like that. What about the other nations that can't do that,
Exactly.
The Olympics is about bringing the world together, right? And, if it's only going to be, the wealthiest sports federations in the world, then it's not going to be a true representation,
Yeah, I just can't see it happening. And I can't imagine being an athlete training for 4 years.
Yeah.
Basically, some athletes, depending on what sport, they only get one window of opportunity to make the Olympics. And then by the time the next Olympics rolls around, they're too old.
Yeah.
Or it's just insane. Imagine working for 4 years for a certain one event, one day, and then all of a sudden that's just taken from underneath you. The mental side of everything that's happening is huge.
The psychological aspect.
You're going to see what people are really like.
Yeah.
And I've already seen it. You see the ones that are selfish, that are out there stocking up on toilet paper, and
they're going to be the first to die. But anyway,
then you've got the nice people that come together and bring look out for each other and bring your toilet paper and things like that. So you actually get to see a person's true character in times like this. But it'll be fascinating to see how a lot of these high-level professional athletes handle this time off. I think the ones that are being paid big amounts of money, they'll be loving life. Like all your NBA stars.
Cristiano Ronaldo bought an island and is living on this island with his family, and nobody's allowed to enter this island.
Yeah, see, that just makes me angry. Well, if you're that good at your sport, you make that much money, then all the best to you.
Well, I saw a quote from this Italian chemist, and she was like, you pay soccer players £1 million a week to kick a ball. you pay scientists that are making drugs £800 a month or whatever. Ask Cristiano Ronaldo to kill the virus.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's insane. But all these amateur athletes, all the Olympic guys, they're all amateur athletes. No funding, generally they're just working towards this one day, this one event. So I feel for them.
Yeah.
What else, Hal?
So we already talked about the NBA briefly, because them as well, a lot of pro athletes are turning to esports, and that is particularly happening with 2K.
Yeah, and do you know what's happening right now?
No.
We're in the middle of a generational FIFA camp, right? Every guy under 40 is playing FIFA. I was in FIFA on the weekend. So many people are online.
Playing FIFA. And professional athletes jumping online playing in FIFA tournaments, or how's it?
Yeah,
what are they doing?
Professional athletes are playing FIFA. NBA players are playing 2K. Like it's crazy. Everybody's gonna come out of this. This is like the
Esport champions.
Esport masters.
Yeah. That's pretty good. That's the way they're getting their sporting fix.
Yeah.
And a lot of athletes are into gaming as well. Like it's almost like a release for them. And but yeah, you'd be surprised the amount of high level athletes that we deal with even that are into gaming. Like it's huge.
Yeah.
I don't know why there's crossover there, but
it's a game of skill, and it's the competitive nature of gaming.
Yeah. I think everyone looks at sports as like the physical side of it, but these guys need their mental fix as well.
Yeah.
So and the strategy. Some guys they get right into the strategy of it. So I can see how esports would translate and yeah.
Yeah, I have this craving right now, just to check some scores or something because I follow so many sports in general, but I'm just turning to esports, just playing FIFA right now, and
FIFA's your game.
FIFA's my game. I've had every FIFA since 2001.
Well, you'll be one of the first dead too. I'm brushing up on Call of Duty.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to be an expert in the zombie apocalypse. Now I'm a Call of Duty man and a Fortnite guy.
Oh, no.
Fortnite.
Yeah.
No, I'm not a shooter. I've only got 2 games: NBA 2K and FIFA.
So you are a shooter.
Oh.
Oh, nice. The UFC game as well. I get into that. I love that.
Oh yeah. That's pretty good. I always lose though.
Who's your go-to fighter in the UFC game?
I don't know who have I been using. I like to use Conor, to be honest.
My son uses Conor non-stop.
Yeah.
Unbeatable. Can't beat him.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'll use, depends what weight division, but I'll use our boy Whitaker.
Yeah. He's pretty good on the
in
game.
the UFC game.
Yeah.
What else is going on, Hal? Anything else?
Yeah. So also, speaking of Conor McGregor, there was an article about him sending gifts to Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder after their UFC match.
I saw he sponsored the event. I don't know if you missed that, but it was actually Proper 12.
I saw it on the canvas.
Yeah, it was on the canvas. So he sponsored the event, and then I saw a pretty cool Instagram post of Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder with a bottle of the old Proper 12. So I think Conor wrote them a little note thanking them for an awesome fight and congratulating them on being 2 warriors. And
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty cool. I love seeing respect between athletes.
Yeah, I even saw Conor giving a shout out to Mayweather over Roger Mayweather just passed away. Mayweather's uncle, who was former world champ.
58 years old, pretty young.
Yeah,
I was
he's one of the reasons why Mayweather is so great. Mayweather's dad was in prison for a lot of his life, and Mayweather's probably going to go down as the greatest boxer of all time.
Well, Roger Mayweather actually trained Floyd. I think it was like 35 or 36 of his 50 fights. So he was like an integral part of Floyd Mayweather's career, and he actually had like a lot of the youngins probably don't know this. Roger Mayweather was an elite boxer in his time as well. Yeah. He had over like 72 pro fights.
That's crazy. Nobody does that anymore.
I know. He fought some great opponents. Did you know he actually fought Kostya Tszyu?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Hal probably doesn't. Do you even know who Kostya Tszyu is?
No.
So one of the greatest Australian boxers.
Australian, yeah, we'll claim him.
I thought he was on Play School.
Isn't he Australian?
He's Australian, but he's Russian, isn't he?
Oh, okay.
Is he Russian?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think he's but his son's an up and coming awesome Australian fighter too. I think they had a big fight.
His son came to our stand at the fitness expo.
He did. He had to go with the punching machine. Yeah. Is that it? That's it for sporting events, Hal?
That's it for sport. Let's get into the topic, shall we?
Yeah, let's go.
Topic of the day. We thought we'd focus on something that could help everyone out while they're at home in isolation. So we wanted to talk some alternative methods of training, but we also wanted to give a bit of a breakdown on, like kettlebells versus dumbbell versus barbell, strength versus skill.
Yeah, so, one of the timeless questions is, what's better, free weights or machines? But you could even divide it further, free weights, what's that? Barbells, kettlebells, dumbbells. Then, you've got machines in these gyms, and then bodyweight exercises as well come into this.
Yep.
So where to begin?
Well, it depends what you're training for, I guess.
Yeah.
You being a powerlifter, primarily, all of your training is done with a barbell, right?
Well, not all of it, but
primarily.
The primary movements are definitely all based around the barbell.
And why is that? That's barbell's more suited for power athletes that require like the greatest output of strength and something that you can actually load up the bar with lots of weight. You're moving lots of weight. That's the purpose of it.
Yeah. So compound exercises are superior in many ways. It's kind of a myth that machines are better for beginners. Machines. Think of a pec deck, right? You're just focusing on some muscles, but you're not really engaging your core. You're not training your core. You're not training your lower back. Even like a leg press, right? Leg press sounds like an impressive thing that you might be using your whole body. You're getting no no core action, no real lower back training from something like that. The barbell's a bit unforgiving, right? You if you've got a niggle here and there, it's going to hurt. But
I think with a barbell as well, form is imperative.
Yeah,
like when you're on a machine, it's basically sort of setting you up with the correct form, right?
Yes.
I still see plenty of people getting machines wrong, but with a barbell, it's like you see so many people load up the barbell and think it's all about sort of strength and lifting the most weight possible, but then their form is terrible. So I think form is paramount on a barbell, with the main exercises being deadlifting, bench, squatting.
There's nothing better than a barbell when it comes to building muscle mass, right? Nothing beats it.
Building muscle mass and strength.
Because the loads you can put on a barbell, you can't compare that, right, to any other form.
We can't replicate that with a kettlebell. You can't replicate that with dumbbells. You can't replicate that on a machine. A lot of machines just max out. So that allows for the most amount of maximal weight to be lifted.
Yeah, and the other thing about the barbell, the downside is what you're talking about. The learning curve is steep, right? It takes a while, and even me, a powerlifter who's been lifting weights for so long, my squat can improve, my deadlift can improve. For sure, there's things that I need to improve, but
and the heavier you go, the more your sort of form suffers. So you need to correct that as well. So it's an ever learning process. The heavier you're getting, you might correct your form at a certain weight and get spot on, and then you up the weight a bit, and your form suffers a little bit. So it's about finding that balance.
Yeah, and Louis Simmons from Westside Barbell, he has this good analogy that strength is time. You learn the barbell by lifting weights.
Yep.
You can watch all the YouTube videos you want, but actually picking the weights up and learning this movement pattern and repeating it, and also even self-evaluating yourself how you're doing it, that's how you're going to get better.
Yeah, it's crazy after a while. Like you said, time. You could walk into a gym now, watch a guy deadlifting, and instantly you'd pick up on 20 things that he's doing wrong. Like, wrong grip, hands too far apart, you've got your thumb under or as opposed to over, or shoulder blades aren't pulled back, or you're not bending your legs enough, or you're not sort of sitting through your butt enough. Like, there's so many things that you pick up on over time, and I think you can tell people, but it's a time thing. It's just like you got to continue to do that exercise and refine it for yourself and your body type as well. Like, some people find it hard to do certain techniques, so they need to adjust or find workarounds. Like, I know a lot of people that refuse to deadlift and refuse to squat, but guess what? There is other ways to
I got sore knees.
Yeah. There's so many other ways to squat and deadlift without using the barbell.
Yeah.
I mean, you could use a trap bar for deadlifting.
It's easy to make excuses when it comes to barbells. They're intimidating. Okay,
yeah.
They're intimidating. But, look for a reason. Don't look for an excuse. If you want to learn it, you can learn it.
Most of the major movements in it, the reason why I love barbells, most of the major movements need full body activation. They need your core locked in. They're mainly big compound movements.
So compound, right? A lot of people aren't familiar with these terms, right? Compound exercises versus isolation exercises. Compound lifts are multi-joint lifts. They go through many parts of your body, right? And these are not just strengthening your muscle. These are strengthening your connective tissues, helping your cardiovascular fitness and things like that. Whereas isolation, a lot of people think you're going to get big biceps just by doing bicep curls, right? That actually fatigues you faster because, the weights are not distributed a lot across larger muscles, right? Your whole body's taking it.
Yeah.
If you train arms more than twice a week, it's ineffective.
Well, you're training arms.
Unless, you like
training arms on other things like back day. Triceps are getting hit on shoulders and chest day. So, yeah, there's definitely more bang for buck in these big compound movements.
Yeah. And, what we're talking about, time, you only have a certain amount of hours in your week. You only have a certain number of weeks in your year. If you're focusing on isolation movements as the foundation of your workout, it's inefficient use of time, right? Strength is time, muscle mass is time. It's all related, right? So
for a lot of powerlifters out there going crazy because their main sort of weapon or their main tool in the toolbox is the barbell, but you can get a barbell at home. It costs a bit of money to buy all that weight, but I don't know. There is other workarounds, and I think kettlebells are a good workaround. Yeah,
kettlebells are excellent. So let's wind back. We have 2 types of muscle fiber. Well, you have 3 really, but type 1, slow twitch, endurance muscle, right? Then type 2 muscle, fast twitch. So type 2A is strength and explosive, and then type 2B is like more purely explosive muscle. The only way to train type 2 muscle, which is, fast twitch muscle, which has all these benefits on metabolic health and, your mitochondria and things like that. There's only 2 ways, like I said, heavy or fast.
Mm-hmm.
In the absence of big barbells, you're going to have to go fast.
Yep.
You need this ballistic movement. Sprinting is going to help. Kettlebells are going to help. So
kettlebells are good for that ballistic movement, and they're good for muscular endurance. I know a lot of grapplers, NRL players, and people that require a little bit more muscular endurance. They're using kettlebells. They allow you to they're a good conditioning exercise for people that hate doing traditional cardio on a treadmill. They're good for people that like lifting weights, but also looking to improve their sort of cardiovascular and conditioning.
A lot of people, they say, well, kettlebell is just a weight. How is it different from a dumbbell? Like, sure, it's just a weight. And if you use it like a dumbbell, it's just a weight. But it's how you can use a kettlebell, that ballistic loading by having the weight further away from you and, swings and snatches and things like that. That's how you actually get the most out of kettlebells.
Well, yeah, the weight's not, obviously with a kettlebell, it's not distributed evenly like it is with a dumbbell. And so it creates the need to sort of counterbalance and stabilize that weight. So what you're actually getting is the opposing muscle group that you're working is actually working probably harder than with a dumbbell, for example. So I know there's a lot of movements that I'll incorporate the kettlebell, just because it feels better. Like, so there's something about the mechanics of military press with kettlebells. It's like the position of the weight is actually,
it's almost self-correcting.
Yeah, it's off the back of the hand rather than sort of straight down through the through the arm. So there's just something about the mechanics of certain kettlebell exercises that I like.
Yes.
But for there's so many good kettlebell exercises. You can do whole body workouts with kettlebell exercises. You got your kettlebell swings. I really like goblet squats.
Yeah.
Goblet squats are great they're a great tool to actually teach people how to squat properly before they want to sort of load up on the barbell. A goblet squat is ideal for getting you in that right position without all the load on your spine as well. So there's other ways that you can squat. There's sumo squats that you can to upright row. There's like your Turkish get-ups, single arm kettlebell snatches. Like, you can work your whole body with a kettlebell, and I think as the ideal choice in this time of isolation, get a kettlebell.
I think so as well, and that's literally what I just did. And
yeah.
You didn't touch on my favorite exercise, which is the kettlebell swing. Right?
Yes.
You put a monkey in a room with a kettlebell, it'll figure out how to do a kettlebell swing, right? Basically just swing it in between your legs. And this ballistic movement alone is going to be such a good full body workout.
Quads, hams, glutes, hips,
Back.
core, back, shoulders. Like it's a great exercise. As long as you're using the right weight and you're not overdoing it on the amount of reps and things like that, it's so good.
And some of the downfalls of the barbell, like we mentioned, it has a steep learning curve, and it is quite hard to learn technique of squat and deadlift. But kettlebell a kettlebell solves part of this problem, right? It's a beginner can use a kettlebell, and you're getting this this movement. You look at a machine, you're not getting any of that core stability. Kettlebell, it's a full body workout if you do it correctly.
It is. I think, I'm just thinking now, I think we'll organise a post to go up on Instagram, Facebook. We'll give you like a 4-day kettlebell training split. So I'll organise for that to get put up on our sites in the next couple of days. So stay tuned for that. And if you don't know any of the exercises that we post on there, just Google them or flick us a question on Instagram or whatever, and we'll explain how to do those exercises. But yeah, kettlebells I think will be everyone's go-to. Dumbbells as well. I know a lot of people sort of keep dumbbells at home. I love dumbbells as far as you can get an increased range of movement. So say a chest press, for example, you get a greater range of movement, actually increases flexibility under load. A lot of people sort of into stretching and things like that. I think the best form of stretching is actually full range of movement with weights. That creates great flexibility.
Compound movements, squat, deadlift, people think it's, gonna just make you stronger. These full body exercises do improve your flexibility, your mobility.
Definitely.
Even though I do a ton of yoga and stuff, I'm a big believer that, the barbell is the answer.
You incorporate the barbell into your yoga sessions?
Not yet.
The dumbbells are cool. Obviously, if you've got muscle imbalances as well, you see a lot of people when they're doing, like, for example, a bench press with a barbell, you'll see they'll be pushing up one side more than the other. So dumbbells are good to sort of work on muscle imbalances. Good stability and strength for tendons and ligaments. I think that's where I like using dumbbells as a warm up before I start hitting my heavy barbell work. I'll always warm up using dumbbells because the range of movement is actually more natural to my body type. So I can sort of, you're not limited to sort of one up and down range of movement that you get with a barbell.
A key thing about dumbbells and barbells over, bodyweight exercises and kettlebells, which is this concept which is fundamental to strength and hypertrophy training, is progressive overload, right? So, beginners out there, this is the key foundation of strength training, progressive overload. It's basically self-description, progressively adding more weight, right? No concept in strength training has ever been as important. Right, and it dates back all the way to this Greek tale of Milo of Croton, right? Croton, somewhere in ancient Greece, right?
Right.
In times like this, it's good to look back to the past because, they've been through it all. So Milo of Croton, right? He used to carry this baby calf.
He was a good friend of mine. Yep.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you.
Yeah, me and Milo go way back. Yeah.
Anyway, so he used to carry this calf up a mountain, right? Every day, and progressively this calf was growing. As it got bigger and bigger,
he ate it.
He didn't eat it.
Oh,
this is not a nutrition one. This is a training talk, right? He put it on his back, and eventually he's lifting a cow up the mountain every day. Progressive overload. The weights are getting up, and Milo became one of the most jacked people in ancient Greece.
What happened when the cow hit full size?
I don't know. I think he was a vegetarian, so it lived happily ever after.
You do get to a point in your training though where, and I've been at this point for a long time, you struggle to find different ways to create that overload. So like being a natural athlete, I get to a certain strength level for me and my body type and what I'm able to lift. And then from there, any incremental weight is tiny. It might be half a kilo. It might be 1 kilo on a squat. So what other things are we doing to create overload, not just weight alone?
Yeah. So most people that have ever trained in a gym, right, have done the old max out your bench every week routine, right? So everybody's done it, right?
Yeah.
You max out 1 week. Okay, next week you're adding more. This is not sustainable for most people. It'll last 6 weeks, if that.
Yep. You see the biggest improvement at the beginning when you first get into training, and you think you can replicate that for the next 20 years. It's just not. It's not feasible.
Exactly. But progressive overload is about adding more weight, because as your body experiences the stress of weight, it's going to get easier as you adapt and become stronger. So that you have to keep adding more weight. But how people structure programming nowadays is more smart, right? You gradually build up, in terms of intensity, but there are other ways to build strength, and that's where aspects like volume in your training, how many sets and how many reps and things like that. Periodization, rest periods. There's many ways to manipulate your training programs.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I always try and mix my training up, whether it be every 4 to 6 weeks, whether it be just the order of the workout. I might keep the same exercises that I used for the previous 6 weeks, but I change the order in which I do them, or I'll lower the reps for the next 6 week block and increase the weight, or there's so many different things. You can incorporate 1 or 2 different exercises. You can do a pre-fatigue of certain muscle groups and then hit your heavy sets. So there's so many different things you can do to sort of mix it up and keep the body sort of guessing.
Yeah, and there's actually a good Musashi quote that's applicable. It's not our quote of the day, but you should not have a favorite weapon. To become over familiar with one weapon is as much a fault as not knowing it sufficiently well.
And that ties into today. What we're talking about is, like, I know we're sort of focusing on what you can do from home in isolation, and we're saying kettlebell is probably the go-to, but there is no one tool in your toolbox that you should just use all the time. What we'd be recommending is incorporate dumbbells, barbells, kettlebells, machines where possible, body weight exercises. They're all tools that you should be using and putting together into your routine to benefit whatever sport you're choosing. For me, like I like to use all of them, right? I like to use all of them because there's advantages, there's pros and cons on each of them. But I like to warm up on dumbbells. So a nice range of movement, increased flexibility in my sort of natural form, my natural way of lifting.
The best warm-up is, lighter weights of the same thing.
That's it.
It's a specific warm-up to the exercise that you're doing.
And then I'll move into my heavy barbell stuff. Once I'm warm, heavy barbell exercises. Then I might incorporate some machines with some plyos or machines with some kettlebells right at the end of the workout. Maybe less rest in between sets. Maybe some drop sets or some supersets and things like that. So it's usually a warm-up with dumbbells, straight into the heavy stuff, finish off with sort of the more conditioning or more sort of machine or kettlebell. So I incorporate it all. But as a powerlifter, like how are you incorporating kettlebells and dumbbells and machines into your training? You wouldn't really most of the time.
I use a kettlebell pretty often.
You do a lot of core stuff with kettlebell.
So actually I use a kettlebell more as like a dynamic warm-up for most sessions. I do some kettlebell swings before squats and deadlifts just to get that heart rate going, get the
glute activation and things like that as well.
So I structure all my training around the barbell, right? So squats, bench, deadlift, and then everything else is an accessory to that. I also do yoga every morning, 15 to 20 minutes of yoga, and then maybe once a week I'll do a big session.
Bit of broga. So yoga, you rate it highly.
Of course. This static stretching, muscular stretching, which is a bit different to what I do, is focusing on maximum range of motion of your joint themselves. Working this connective tissue, working on your stability. Strength and stability are intimately related. If you see somebody shaking when they're lifting weights, this is.
I just thought that was because they had too much pre-workout.
Oh, that's why I shake. Yeah, 3 scoops Musashi.
Oh, no.
It's fun to use a pre-workout. Fun to use a pre-workout that you formulated yourself. So.
Yeah, that would be cool. So you are incorporating it just as sort of a warm up and get the heart rate up and whatnot. Are you doing any like accessory exercises with dumbbells, kettlebells, and stuff like that?
Of course, yeah. So really, I would say 80% of my training is on the barbell. Mm-hmm. The other 20%. Is all dumbbell work and all kettlebell stuff. So
is that just for show, or is that actually accessory for what you're doing?
No, you've got to work on your weaknesses, right? So another concept in training is general adaptation. So, when you squat and deadlift, you're building strength and, ability that transfers to other sports and other movements and daily movements, right? So if you're squatting, you're going to jump higher, you're going to be faster, right? And then there's the specificity. So general training and then specific training. So, you want to do movements and training that kind of replicates what you're trying to achieve, right? So if you're a bowler in cricket, you want to try and replicate things that are similar to that. If you're a soccer player that focuses on turning a lot, you're probably going to want to incorporate things more specific to that motion.
And that and you see a lot of this these days. Like I've been around in the fitness industry a long time, over 20 years, and there's all this hype at the moment around functional training, and I do functional style lifts, and a lot of that is just absolute garbage, because you think of what an actual think about what you do throughout the day, right? And what would classify as a functional lift. You're bending down to pick up things and you pick them up, right? That's a deadlift.
Yeah.
You bend down to open up the drawer. That's a squat. You know what I mean? Like these old traditional exercises, if you're reaching up to grab something out of the cupboard, what are you doing? You're doing a calf raise. So I see all these people doing all these weird twisting exercises using cables and basically twisting themselves into a pretzel, and I'm doing functional training. The best functional training, I think, is your squats, your deadlifts, your bench, your bent over rows, your standing military press, the things that you're actually doing as a human throughout the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what general training adaptation is about. There's another concept called GPP, general physical preparedness, right? And this is your, a measure of fitness. How ready are you for, your strength training? How ready are you for your sport? There's a great story, a great analogy, being a lifetime Man United fan, right? The story of Rooney and Ronaldo, right? When Rooney, for those of you that don't know, these are probably two of the best players of all time. When Rooney burst on the scene, right? 16-year-old, scored a hat trick on debut in the Champions League. He was they called him the White Pele, right?
Yeah.
Ronaldo.
That's racist.
No, there's a song about it. I saw my mate the other day. Ronaldo, he was a much later bloomer, right? So when he joined Man United, it took him a little while to kind of find his feet. He didn't score a hat trick on debut, although he had a pretty cool debut. But when it comes to training, I read an article from their coach. Maybe we'll link this. One of the strength and conditioning coaches. He was like, Rooney was like, I play soccer. I want to train soccer, right? He focused predominantly on skills training. Ronaldo was a fan of the barbell, of strength and conditioning, general physical training, right? And you look at the difference. Okay, it's hard to compare. Rooney's probably one of the greatest, English players of all time. High scorer for Man United, high scorer for England. But then Ronaldo surpassed Rooney in ways you can't imagine. Ronaldo is now, arguably the greatest player of all time. Maybe Messi. Maybe.
Longevity in career as well.
Yeah. Here's a mind-blowing fact. Ronaldo's younger than Rooney. Rooney is already in the twilight of his career. Rooney retired basically and went to America. Now he's playing in the English Championship. Yep. Ronaldo's still at the top of the game. Ronaldo's still scoring hat tricks in the Champions League.
What do you attribute that to? Keeping his body in premium shape by incorporating weights and strength training and
exactly. And you
look at him, he's shredded.
Look at him,
and he's jacked.
When's the last time you saw Rooney take off his shirt and flex after scoring a goal? Ronaldo does it all the time. It's one anecdote, but it's a story, and sometimes the best way to learn things is by looking at a story.
100%.
That's how you're going to remember the story about Milo and progressive overload.
It's true. And if there is any athletes out there that are just primarily focusing just on sort of the skills of the sport, you're doing yourself an injustice. There needs to be the strength and conditioning to go behind it, and that only elevates your skills. If you're able to perform at a faster, stronger, longer rate, like you're able to utilize your skills even more efficiently and even better. So I think it's a combination of both skill work and strength and conditioning work, and you see it a lot in those sort of sports like soccer and. But like you look at the top athletes of today, are like what would you say? The NFL, NBA, probably UFC guys.
Yeah. I don't know if you know how the NFL combine works, but there's metrics of how much you bench, how much you squat. All of this is on your stat sheet, and that all affects how you're recruited because, I don't know if you've seen Moneyball, but American sports are all about the statistics.
Yes. It's so much data, so much statistics, and that's basically what you're recruited on, is those statistics. So, yeah. What about machines? I like machines as a finisher. I like to finish the workout on them where I might be fatigued. My like the muscle group's completely fatigued, and I don't want to continue to go super heavy on barbells or dumbbells where there's risk of injury. So what I actually like to do is, I'll actually finish on machines where I'm not having to focus so much on form. Your form's sort of set, using them just as a squeeze, get blood into the muscle, but very rarely do I incorporate them at the beginning of a workout, maybe for some sort of warm-up stuff. But I find a lot of the machines these days to be really cool. A lot of the old Nautilus machines are great. Hammer strength machines are awesome. Techno gym stuff is I think it's been refined to a certain point these days where actually you jump into a lot of these machines and it is replicating the exact form that you should be using. Again, not a lot of the stability muscles, not doing a lot for tendons, ligaments and things like that. But if you want to focus on that specific muscle group that you're working, I think machines that still have their place in a workout.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And, taking from that, I feel there's only really two occasions where machines are useful. If you're a bodybuilder trying to hit a specific muscle, or if you're, injured and you're trying to, you have a limited range of motion, you can't do dumbbells and barbells and things like that.
Yeah, I injured my shoulder a while back in jiu-jitsu, right? And I couldn't lift dumbbells, couldn't lift the barbell. I basically was going crazy, not being in the gym and not doing strength sessions, and went back in there and sort of kicked off with really light machine work, and I found that I was able to utilize machines while I was still injured, still get a little bit of a workout on, maintain strength, and I think doing something, even it depends on the nature of the injury, but doing something while you're injured is actually better than doing nothing.
Yeah, and one of the other things I'm a big fan of is contralateral training, right? If you have if you injured your right leg, you can actually train your left leg, and there's some carryover to your injured leg. It's
there's so many
like
studies.
a phantom limb effect.
There's so many studies of that. You see people might have an upper body injury, but will continue to squat, and you're actually able to put on muscle mass throughout the whole body just by squatting. You know what I mean? There's so many and that's why it goes back to our argument before. Big, major, compound, heavy movements are full body workout. You think of the squat just as for your lower body, but no, you're actually incorporating a hell of a lot of the muscles in your upper body as stabilizers and so
I guess the other type of training we haven't touched on is bodyweight training. Pull-ups, chin-ups, push-ups. I'm a massive fan of calisthenics in general. I love my human flags here and there.
Yes, it's my
party trick.
They call you the human flag, don't they?
Yeah. Oh well, maybe on the weekends. But so it's a good party trick. But the problem with bodyweight as well is a lot of people can't do a pull-up off the bat. It takes a while to learn and to actually have this minimum general physical preparedness to kind of do a lot of these bodyweight exercises.
Some of the best exercises are bodyweight exercises.
100%. Once you can do it, it's so good.
Yeah. So pull-ups, king for me. That's like one of the best back exercises. Dips.
Love my dips.
Yep. Dips. There's so many good bodyweight exercises, but it's incorporating all these things into a program specific to what your goal is, I guess.
Yeah, and
you can end up doing 100 different exercises.
One of the things you probably can't train with bodyweight exercises is your lower back. It's very hard to get that kind of loading just using bodyweight exercises.
That's where yoga comes into it, though.
Exactly, and lower back training is pretty important, especially when you want to get good at squats and deadlifts. Definitely.
Anything else you want to cover off on sort of our debate today? Which one's better?
Well, we didn't talk about my other thing, yoga, which I do. We touched on it, but it's...
How many times a week are you doing yoga?
Almost every morning.
Yeah. What are you doing? Have you got like a little program? Are you watching sort of something on YouTube, or you got a little app that you love your apps?
I've used a few things over the year, but I've kind of come back to this thing called ROMWOD, Range of Motion Workout of the Day. I love it.
So it lays a workout out for you. You just sit there, watch it, and replicate.
It's actually programming some of the stretching. You know, like you program your weights. It's once you get a bit more advanced into stretching, you can program mobility as well.
And I've been on that app. You can choose the length of your workouts as well. So if you've only got 5-10 minutes to spare, there's actually 5 and 10 minute routines, or there's the
45-50 minute warrior routines. You know, you're sitting in a pose for 6 minutes, and you know, you're kind of focusing on staying alive. But that's the mental aspect of that. How deep you go, you know, when you're in these deep poses is actually probably the best benefit of yoga. The meditation that it forces you to do.
How are you going to replicate the old Bikram hot yoga room? You're going to turn up the air conditioning in your apartment and sweat it out?
Probably just put on a couple of jackets and and go for it.
I look forward to seeing that. Yeah, I reckon yoga is...
I'm actually not a fan of Bikram yoga. You know, when it gets too hot, you actually you're capable of going in range of motion that's probably too deep.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
interesting. A lot of people swear by it. But it depends again. Like for your sport, obviously, you don't want that over hyper flexibility.
Yeah.
So yeah, and a lot of people do push it when you're in a hot room and you're all warmed up. You don't realize how much you're actually stretching. A lot of injuries can occur, but a lot of people swear by it. So it's whatever works for you.
And another key point is I don't stretch static stretching before lifting weights, because you know muscular tightness is actually very important for strength, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to be too loose, which is why I do you know, this yoga stuff early in the morning and then weight sessions in the evening.
Yeah, I prefer I use a lot of band stuff to warm up.
Yeah.
For a weight session, and with jiu-jitsu, I'm warming up using sort of like flow-like movements. There's a thing called gymnastica natural, which is sort of like a movement-based sort of yoga, and it's meant to replicate sort of jiu-jitsu to its closest form, but just doing it by yourself without a partner.
Yeah.
So maybe for all you jiu-jitsu guys out there that are struggling without their jiu-jitsu at the moment, gymnastica natural is a great way to sort of improve your jiu-jitsu and improve hip flexibility and just that flow movement while you're locked down.
Yeah. You know, it at the end of the day, we're giving you all these examples of what to do. It doesn't matter what you do as long as you do something, you know.
That's it.
Exercise is so important for physical and mental health. You know, the story of Tyson Fury is just one of my favorite things of all time, you know, how he's now the heavyweight boxing champion of the world. You know, he experienced massive mental issues. He trained his whole life to become the heavyweight champ. He beat Vladimir Klitschko, achieved the goal, went off the rails, started partying, gained 300 pounds or something like that. And, you know, he was suicidal. He tried to kill himself.
I know.
And then,
crazy.
You know, then he's like, I'm going to become heavyweight champion of the world again. Dedicated to training. And he's such an advocate that training is, you know, what's going to help people's mental health. And, you know, right now what people are cooked up inside, you know, you have this anxiety is related to, you know, the unknown of the future. And then, you know, kind of depression of what we could have done in the past differently. But, you know, training and exercise makes you focus on the now.
The mind and the body are so connected, and if you are going a little stir crazy, get down to the beach. Stay away from people, obviously. Do some sand sprints. Go find a hill. Run up and down a hill. Like just get some sort of exercise in. It'll get you through.
Yeah.
Listener questions. We had one come in this week?
We did. This is from Riley Smith from Docklands, Melbourne, and it was more recent actually. We might have covered this briefly already, but just to reiterate, he says, my gym just closed. What on earth do I do?
Who's this, Riley?
Yeah.
Riley. Shout out to Riley. Mates, I think what we're going to do is actually post up a sample kettlebell routine that you can do at home. It's a 4-day split routine. That'll go up the next couple of days. If your gyms are shut, world's not over. You know, get down to... Everywhere sells kettlebells now. You get down to Kmart, buy yourself a kettlebell, decent weight, do some kettlebell training, experience something new. You never know. You might enjoy it. Use what you can at home. If there's somewhere where you can do pull-ups, if there's somewhere you can do some bodyweight stuff, incorporate some yoga, try some different things. Like I said at the beginning of the podcast, you can get stuck in this rut of just doing the same exercises, the same routine week in, week out. Think of the positive side. Use this as an opportunity to try some different shit.
Yeah, and whatever works for you. Like we said, it doesn't matter what you do as long as you do something. What I'm going to be doing: sprinting and kettlebell training. That's that's always there.
Yeah.
I'm always going to do it, and they can, even if they shut down the planet, I'm going to be doing this.
Yeah, nice. We
Yeah.
just lost our screen. So if you do want to submit a listener question, submit via the email podcast@musashi.com. We'll do our best to filter through all of those questions and respond. Quote of the week.
Quote. And I've been talking about some Greek philosophy. Should we hit on that?
Go for it.
Yeah, because it's all these lessons of the past are really helpful today. So one quote I really love is Plutarch, right? The future bears down upon us with all the hazards of the unknown, and the only way out is through. All right, nobody knows what the future holds, but the only way out is through. Just focus on your training.
It's true.
Yeah, but let's get to a Miyamoto Musashi quote.
Quote of the week. Okay. In fighting and in everyday life, you should be determined through calm. I think that is so relevant right now when everyone is losing their absolute mind. And look, you've probably got reason to have a little bit of anxiety or a little bit of stress in your life, and there is a lot going on. But you're not going to achieve what you were going to achieve through anxiety, stress, and panic. I think you need to keep your spirit very calm still. Don't let your body relax. We're not just going to sit on the couch. But you still got to sort of be aware of what's going on around us. But just allow your spirit to be calm, relax, look at the people around you, help them. Uncertain times, so just remain focused on what we're all here for. Stay motivated through training and nutrition to keep your mind right. And where there's a will to train, you'll find a way.
Yeah, great quote. Keep calm. It's what you have to do in this situation, and exercise, eating well, training well, living well is going to help you.
Yep.
There's so much you can do. People might be stuck in just this hesitation to start because your whole life routine has changed, right? You might be on YouTube trying to figure out home exercises and things like that. But like we said, there's a lot you learn from doing. In my mind, there's no planning to do. There's doing and there's not doing, right? It's just be doing something, focusing on eating well, training well. Don't talk about it, be about it.
And if you're stuck inside, just a simple thing like the beginning of the day or the day before, write down a list of all the things you want to achieve that following day or want to achieve that day. I know it sounds like cliche, motivational talk bullshit, but it helps. If you write it down and you sort of got a list of things that you need to achieve throughout the day, and training's one, and preparing food and things like that is another, go through the list, tick it off. I know while you're in isolation, you're going crazy, but still you get to the end of the day and you feel like you've achieved something. Okay, I've achieved everything on my list. So try and keep some sort of structure, and that will help you to remain calm. Keep your spirit calm.
Yeah, and these lessons from the past are applicable today more than ever. Life in the 1600s when Miyamoto Musashi was chopping people's heads off was a lot different than it was today. Keeping calm back then, we're in the middle of a war, means something else.
We think these are chaotic times. Like, humans have become, I'll probably cop shit for saying this, but humans have become pretty soft. Like, you look at our lives, right? We basically wake up, we've got everything in our fingertips. There's a fridge full of food. You've got access to all the information in the world. You've got all the best food. You can, like we just walk down to a supermarket, just pick out off a shelf whatever food we need. It hasn't always been like this. No. There was a time where you'd have to go out and find your own food. You hunt, kill, like pick fruits, vegetables, harvest your own crops. Like, we've become that soft. And now's the time, like, to start to think back, like, okay, how can I incorporate some old school sort of, methods into my everyday life now? Like, I've got a veggie garden at home. I love it. I know I probably sound like an old man, but now's the time to plant a veggie garden. What vegetables are you eating every day? What are you throwing in your smoothie? Can you grow some of that stuff at home so you're not so reliant the next time there's a crisis and there's no vegetables or anything left in the supermarkets? Oh, it's okay. I got a couple of weeks reserved out in my back lawn. Like, there's things that you can do to set yourself up for the next time something like this happens. And guess what? It will happen, because it's happened 15 times in my lifetime since the 1600s. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I agree. Taking these lessons from the past, and the things that we're experiencing today in Australia, people experience this every day in the third world. There's the health scare. There's restrictions on your movement. There's an oppressive regime even in parts of the world. Like what we're experiencing today is uncharted territory for a lot of people in the first world. But in the third world, this is daily life, and it's humbling that everybody's in this boat together.
It is humbling, and it's a time where everyone should come together and not work against each other. I'm so sick of seeing people turning on each other in shopping centres and whatnot. It's just ridiculous. I just think now's the time to lend a hand to your neighbour and check in on family via Skype or via phone call, and spend some quality time with the people that you love, and just sort of take a deep breath, reset, and think how you're going to move forward from this. We'll get through it. It's happened before. It'll happen again, and we'll continue to sort of evolve and learn. They're all learning experiences. Did we have another quote from? Are we still doing the famous athlete quote?
We do. Not exactly on topic, but you've mentioned them already today in this podcast as a quick hint.
Oh.
But your love makes me strong. Your hate makes me unstoppable.
Sounds like a song.
Your love makes me strong. Your hate makes me unstoppable.
Oh, so it's someone that's driven by
Floyd
hate.
Mayweather.
Nope.
Oh, who else have we mentioned?
You haven't. They won't be in your notes. Don't try and cheat.
I'm cheating. Deontay Wilder.
Nope.
Oh.
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Oh.
You actually mentioned that you hate that he bought an island, so that's just making him even more unstoppable.
Yeah, haters gonna hate, man. Ronaldo's doing it.
Doing what he has to do. I wouldn't have thought he would have been an athlete driven by hate. He wouldn't have much hate out there. Everyone loves him, don't they?
Everybody, I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's a big argument about who's the best, Messi or Ronaldo. And
so people can't admire both of them. They have to be on one team.
People
or the
don't
other.
appreciate that we're alive in the era of the two greatest players of all time. They pick a camp, Messi or Ronaldo, and you team Messi or you team Ronaldo.
So passionate.
I'm team Ronaldo, by the way.
Is it? But because you look at like tennis, you've probably got two of the greatest players ever currently still. Well, three. You've got Djokovic, Federer, Nadal.
Yeah, but
probably the three best. It's like not like you. We look at them and go, oh, I can't stand one of those players.
Yeah, the NBA you do.
Yeah.
I think it's
Don't worry. I think haters gonna hate.
It's a team
until
thing.
The end.
It's not an individual thing. I think.
Yeah.
It's a team thing.
Okay.
Haters gonna hate. Let them hate.
Good quote, Hal. Good one.
Cheers.
That's it.
Anything else you guys want to cover off today?
No.
This might be it for. We might be on lockdown.
I'm happy. Yeah.
We're pretty safe here in Hal's basement. So we'll probably be back in another week or a couple of weeks and knock out some more podcasts. You guys have got nothing else to do, so why not listen to the podcast, listen to us ramble on with shit for an hour, and get you through in these crazy times.
Yeah, it feels like some guerrilla radio shit right now. We're out here speaking.
I'm just waiting for the power to go out and zombie to start crashing in through the windows here, but it's been cool. I think we'll continue to knock these out, give you guys some sort of content to watch in these times of isolation. But if you want to jump on, leave a review on iTunes or on YouTube, we'll give you a shout out in the following episode, and we'll grab your details and flick you a free Musashi t-shirt. I think that'll do us, and we'll catch up again soon.
That's it. Go get it. Don't get stuck at home.